Kurt Busch, former NASCAR Cup Series champion. In November 2005, the reigning 2004 NASCAR Cup champion Kurt Busch was pulled over near Phoenix International Raceway and was cited for reckless driving after being detained on suspension of DUI. Deputies reported smelling alcohol, and Busch became belligerent, at one point quipping, "You're only doing this because you're a Jeff Gordon fan," to the arresting officer. A preliminary field breath test registered 0.017, well below the legal limit, and deputies later said the official breathalyzer at the station malfunctioned, so Busch wasn't charged with DUI. He later pleaded guilty and admitted to traffic offenses, speeding, following too closely, and passing in a no-passing zone as part of a local plea resolution. As part of the plea deal, Busch was ordered to complete 50 hours of community service and pay $580 in fines. Roush Racing suspended Busch for the remainder of the 2005 season, the final two races. Busch had already been granted a release to move to Team Penske earlier that month, so the suspension ended his season rather than being a simple unilateral firing. Team owner Jack Roush, whose sponsor was Crown Royal at the time, took a zero-tolerance stance given the alcohol-related nature of the infraction. Busch later apologized for his disrespectful behavior during the arrest, but the damage was done. The 2005 run-in would follow his reputation for years. He was arrested late on August 13, 2024 in Iredell County, North Carolina. Busch had announced his retirement from all-time Cup competition in August 2023. A sheriff's deputy clocked Busch's Lexus going 63 miles an hour in a 45 zone and pulled him over around 11:32 p.m. According to court documents, Busch had red glassy eyes and a strong odor of alcohol on his breath, and he admitted to having been drinking prior to driving. A responding highway patrol trooper administered a breath test, which registered a 0.17% breath alcohol content, over twice that of the legal limit of 0.08 in North Carolina. Busch was taken into custody and later released on a promise to appear in court on September 19th, with his driver's license immediately revoked for 30 days, standard procedure in North Carolina after a DWI arrest. In the aftermath, the 2004 Cup Series champion issued a public apology. "I'm very disappointed in myself, and I apologize to my family, my racing family, and to my fans. I will work with the authorities to rectify the situation and make it a safer place in the future." The arrest was especially striking, given Busch's celebrated career. 34 Cup wins and a reputation as a fierce competitor, now clouded by a serious off-track mistake. At the time of reporting, NASCAR hadn't announced additional disciplinary action. After retiring in August of 2023, Busch was reported to be acting in an advisory/mentoring capacity with 23XI Racing, not an active full-time driver. For Kurt Busch, a driver whose name is synonymous with success, these DUI-related episodes in 2005 and 2024 serve as a reminder that even champions aren't above the law when it comes to drunk driving. Chris Hacker, part-time NASCAR Truck/Xfinity Series driver, 2023 incident. Chris Hacker in the garage area during the 2023 Truck Series season. At just 23 years old, Chris Hacker is a young NASCAR driver who unfortunately made headlines off the track in 2023. In the early hours of August 15, 2023, Hacker was arrested in Huntersville, North Carolina, and charged with driving while impaired, a DWI, in an accident that underscored the risks of poor decisions. Police reports say that Hacker was stopped just after midnight for excessive speeding. Some news outlets report the stop occurred on I-77, while at least one local report lists a nearby road, Kenton Drive/Sanford Road area. According to public records, he was not only charged with DWI, but also hit with several related offenses: speeding, reckless driving to endanger, and even failure to wear a seatbelt during the stop. As is standard in North Carolina, his driver's license was immediately revoked for 30 days following the arrest. The repercussions for Hacker's budding career were swift. NASCAR took action by indefinitely suspending Chris Hacker under its behavioral policy, Section 4.4D of the rulebook, which covered significant criminal violations. This meant that he was barred from all NASCAR competition until further notice, a potentially devastating blow for a part-time driver trying to establish himself. The suspension was announced at NASCAR's weekly penalty report just days after the arrest, confirming that Hacker's actions violated the code of conduct expected of members of the sport. Through the time of his suspension, Hacker had made 4 Truck Series starts and 2 Xfinity starts in 2023, 6 combined, and his best truck finish that year was 12th at North Wilkesboro. A native of Noblesville, Indiana, Hacker has the added challenge of a partial disability, limited use of his left arm from a birth injury. Yet, he had persevered to compete on big stages. All that progress was put in jeopardy by the DWI incident. What's more alarming, though, is that this wasn't Hacker's first run-in with the law related to impaired driving. Records later revealed that in June 2017, as a teenager, Chris Hacker had been arrested in Indiana on charges of operating a vehicle while intoxicated, an OWI, along with 4 related misdemeanors, including possession of marijuana. He received a plea deal in that case. Most charges were dropped, but he did serve a year of probation, which he violated, resulting in a 180-day house arrest sentence. That prior incident shows a troubling pattern, making the 2023 arrest even more concerning for those around him. Hacker was actually slated to drive in an Xfinity Series race at Watkins Glen the weekend after his arrest, but his team had to replace him with driver Josh Bilicki due to the suspension. In the wake of his August 2023 DWI arrest, Chris Hacker issued an apology, expressing regret for his actions, acknowledging that he let down his team and supporters. Hacker self-reported the incident to NASCAR and later completed NASCAR's Road to Recovery program. It's clear that this incident was a major setback. For a young driver with potential, the road to redemption may be long, likely requiring legal consequences, rehabilitation efforts, and rebuilding trust with NASCAR officials and teams. Hacker's case serves as a cautionary tale. Even a part-time driver can face full-time consequences when accused of drunk driving. NASCAR's message was unambiguous, suspending him indefinitely and signaling that such behavior has no place in the sport. Jason White, part-time NASCAR Truck/Xfinity Series driver, 2023 incident. Jason White is a name longtime NASCAR Truck Series fans might actually recognize, a journeyman driver who has competed off and on since the late 1990s. In 2023, however, White's name surfaced in headlines for a serious off-track incident. On August 3, 2023, the 44-year-old White was arrested in Huntersville, North Carolina and charged with driving while impaired, a DWI, after a traffic stop. The police report and contemporaneous local coverage list the arrest time was about 5:42 p.m. on Kenton Drive. White, like fellow driver Chris Hacker, was charged with driving while impaired, a DWI, just days later. Authorities also charged White with additional offenses, including speed-related violations and reckless driving specifically. He faced charges of speeding and reckless driving to endanger, as well as exceeding safe speed in conjunction with the DWI charge. As a result of the arrest, his license was temporarily suspended for 30 days under North Carolina's immediate revocation policy for DWI arrests. NASCAR officials didn't wait for the legal process to play out before responding. Citing Section 44D of the NASCAR Rulebook, Significant Criminal Actions, NASCAR indefinitely suspended Jason White from competition pending resolution. The suspension was announced on August 17, 2023, alongside Chris Hacker's, indicating NASCAR's firm stance on drunk driving incidents involving its drivers. NASCAR's penalty entry for White references sections 2.14a and 4.4d. 2.14a is the rule requiring members to notify NASCAR within 72 hours or before the next event. The publicly posted penalty note lists both sections. That's why White's suspension entry cites both 2.14a, failure to report, and 4.4d, behavioral/criminal matters. It's accurate to say failure to timely report was part of the disciplinary citation. Jason A. White debuted in the National NASCAR Series in 1999 and, counting Cup, Xfinity, Busch, and Truck starts combined, has roughly 214 National Series starts through 2023. Most of those were in the Truck Series, where he earned 9 top 5 finishes and even came close to a win, with a NASCAR best finish of 2nd at Michigan in 2012. However, White never reached victory lane in a National Series. By 2023, he was largely semi-retired from driving. In fact, the August DWI arrest came not long after his attempt to revive his racing activity. He had returned to the Truck Series for the Next Era Energy 250 at Daytona, February 17, 2023, driving the #1 Tricon truck and finished 15th. He also tried to qualify for an Xfinity race at Talladega that spring, which he failed to make. Off the track, White served in an executive role as the Director of Motorsports for CMR Roofing, a sponsor of RSS Racing, indicating he had a business presence in the sport as well. All that makes the DWI arrest a potentially career-ending mistake for White. The incident cast a shadow over his return to racing and his professional reputation. White has yet to publicly race again since the suspension, and according to a note from one report, the legal case was scheduled for a court hearing on September 6, 2023. One unconfirmed report indicated the charges may have been resolved or dropped by mid-2024, but details are scarce. The immediate outcome, though, was clear. Jason White's actions led to his removal from the driver's seat indefinitely. It underscores that no matter how experienced a driver is, driving under the influence is a grave offense. White's story, alongside Hacker's, emerged as part of a troubling trend in August 2023, prompting NASCAR to take a hard line on drunk driving. The hope is that these penalties serve as a deterrent and a wake-up call to any other drivers, either part-time or superstar, that such behavior simply will not be tolerated in the NASCAR community. Michael Annett, former NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, 2011 incident. Michael Annett was a 24-year-old driver in NASCAR's nationwide, now Xfinity Series in 2011 when he experienced a serious legal wake-up call. In the early morning of February 6, 2011, Annett rear-ended another car stopped at a red light in Mooresville, North Carolina at about 1:32 a.m. Police arriving on the scene found cause for alarm. Annett was ultimately arrested and charged with driving while impaired, DWI, and the details were startling. According to the police report, Annett's blood alcohol concentration was 0.32%, a staggering 4 times the legal limit of 0.08 in North Carolina. He was initially cited for texting while driving, failing to reduce speed, and resisting a public officer, reported as refusing to be handcuffed. Several of those accompanying charges, though, were later dismissed as part of court proceedings. Thankfully, no serious injuries were reported from the accident that he had caused, but the situation could have been far worse given that level of intoxication. The fallout for Annett was swift on both the legal and professional fronts. On the legal side, all the charges he faced were misdemeanors, but collectively they were very serious. He initially had a court date set for March 18, 2011 to address the DWI and the related charges. That date was subsequently moved as the case progressed. In the meantime, his employer, Rusty Wallace Racing, RWR, and NASCAR both took action to discipline the young driver. RWR released a stern statement condemning Annett's conduct, making it clear that the team does not condone nor tolerate substance abuse by any of its employees. The team owner, NASCAR Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace, was especially embarrassed given his dual role as an ESPN analyst. The team outlined a series of internal sanctions for Annett, requiring him to complete a comprehensive alcohol awareness program, a year-long community service program, and adhere to a zero-tolerance policy towards alcohol use. Despite the gravity of the situation, Wallace allowed Annett to continue driving the number 62 car in the next race at Daytona, reasoning that Annett was remorseful and needed a chance to make amends. Wallace noted, "It's embarrassing for everybody. He's hurt his team, himself, he's really remorseful. It was a huge wake-up call for him." NASCAR's sanctioning body also stepped in, citing actions detrimental to stock car racing. NASCAR placed Michael Annett on probation until December 31st of 2011 as a result of the DWI arrest and crash. This probation meant that Annett would be under heightened scrutiny for the remainder of the year and was required to be evaluated by a certified substance abuse professional at NASCAR's discretion. He also became subject to random alcohol and drug testing going forward, a clear signal that any further slip-up could end his NASCAR career. Essentially, Annett was being given one chance to redeem himself under a strict watch. In the court of public opinion, Annett knew he had to repair his image. He issued a heartfelt public apology, taking full responsibility. "I'm deeply remorseful for my actions and my extreme lack of judgment. I let down my team, my sponsors, my fans, and my family," Annett's statement read. He called the incident truly a life-changing moment for me and vowed to use it as the impetus to make a lot of positive changes in my life. This tone of contrition, coupled with the corrective steps mandated by his team and NASCAR, helped Annett avoid immediate dismissal from his ride. On July 22, 2011, Annett pleaded guilty. He received a suspended 120-day jail sentence, 2 years unsupervised probation, 48 hours of community service, a $200 fine, and forfeiture of his driver's license for 1 year. By the end of the year, though, having met the terms of his punishment, Annett was able to continue his racing career. He went on to race several more seasons in the Xfinity Series, even scoring a win at Daytona in 2019, but eventually retiring in 2021. Michael Annett's 2011 drunk driving case stands as a prominent example within NASCAR of how a single bad decision can derail a career, at least temporarily. It also illustrates a key point. NASCAR, its teams, and sponsors will respond firmly to off-track misconduct, but they may offer a path to redemption if a driver shows genuine remorse and commitment to change. In Annett's case, he took the corrective path. His story, alongside other off-track legal incidents involving drivers such as Chris Hacker and Jason White, and earlier alcohol-related legal trouble involving Busch, 2005 citation for reckless driving, underscores that no one is immune to consequences for impaired or dangerous driving. These incidents have prompted NASCAR to maintain a hardline stance on impaired driving, emphasizing safety and responsibility for everyone under its banner. But which of these arrests surprised you the most? Let us know down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more such NASCAR stories every day and make sure to check out the videos on screen.